Hello, my name is Joshua Mugabi. I welcome you to topic 10.3. We are looking at sexual reproduction in humans. And we are looking at learning outcome E. Know the role of the placenta during pregnancy. Know the role of the placenta during pregnancy. So we are going to look at learning activity in pairs or groups. Learners research and describe verbally and in notes the process of fertilization, stages in the process of development from zygote to birth. The role of the placenta, item 1. What are we going to emphasize? We are looking at the structure of the placenta and the functions. During a lesson on human reproduction, the teacher displays a diagram of the placenta and the fetus inside the uterus. So we are here. What we are saying here, what the teacher has displayed, is a diagram. And it is a diagram of the placenta and the fetus inside the uterus. So let us try to look here before we continue. This is our diagram here, the whole of it, which has been displayed. And here we have the placenta enlarged. The placenta is this part here. That is the placenta. And we have the fetus inside the uterus. This is the uterus, the whole outside layer, uterus. This is the fetus. And this is the placenta, which is attaching itself on the umbilical cord. So this is the umbilical cord, and the whole of this one is the placenta. So we are going to start from there and then continue. Tasks. What is the placenta and where is it located? So we are going to start with that one. So we say the placenta is a temporary organ that forms during pregnancy between the mother and the fetus. That is what we call a placenta. So we are saying it is just a temporary organ and it is formed during pregnancy and it is between the mother and the fetus. Now let's go back to our diagram here. I've told you that the whole of this lining outline that you are seeing, that is the uterus. So that is the mother. And the mother is pregnant, meaning that the mother has a fetus inside the uterus. Are you together? So there is a temporary organ which is formed during this season of pregnancy. And that temporary organ is this part that you are seeing here. Let me try to outline it for you. This temporary organ that you are seeing here, that one, there. That temporary organ there is what we are referring to as a placenta. And we are saying it is just a temporary organ and it forms only during pregnancy. And it is between the mother. When we say the mother, this outline layer is what we are calling the uterus. And this is part of the mother's body. And the fetus is the growing baby inside the uterus. So the connection between the mother and the developing fetus is that organ which we call the placenta. I hope that one you have understood it. So we say here that it connects to the fetus by the umbilical cord. So when you go back here, you will see that this is the uterus, uterine wall, and this is the fetus, and this is, what is this one? This is the placenta. It is the connection between the mother and the fetus. And how does it connect to the baby? It is connected, that is the placenta, is connected to the fetus by the umbilical cord. So you can see from the placenta here, to connect it to the baby, it passes through the umbilical cord. So when we look here, we are saying the whole of this one is the placenta. This part here is the placenta. And the placenta is connected to the mother. This part here, which we are referring to as the uterus or uterine lining. And this side, it is going to connect it to the fetus, but it connects it through the umbilical cord. So when you try to go deeper, as we are going to go further and explain, we shall try to see it further. So I don't want to continue any further until when we have completely understood the placenta. So I'm going to enlarge it so that we can try to see how it looks like. Okay, our diagram now is enlarged and we are going to go slow so that we can really understand the placenta. Now, if you look here, you will see that this is the mother's belly, okay, outside. And inside, we have what we call the uterus. This is our uterus. We have studied the structure of the female reproductive system, and you know where the uterus is located. Now, in the uterus, we have now what we are calling the placenta. The placenta, now I want us to look at it very closely. In the uterus, we develop what we call a placenta. Now you see, on the lining of the uterus, we have said it is an organ which develops only during pregnancy. So this organ which you see here, it is in the uterus. It comes here and then it follows like this. You can see it moving like that. That one that you are seeing moving like that, following my mark, all that one is what we are calling now the uterus. No, not the uterus, the placenta. And we are saying it is an organ that connects the mother. Remember, this is the uterus. And this is the fetus here. In between the mother's uterus and the fetus, there is that organ which we are calling the placenta. Are you together? So that is the placenta. Now, when you come back this side, here we have our fetus, and the fetus is now going to be connected to the mother via the placenta. Now, the placenta connects to the fetus via the umbilical cord. You see, this is the umbilical cord connecting to the fetus, and it comes and connects to the placenta. And then we have here other spaces which we are going to learn, those different sections of the placenta. So what we are going to do, we are going to cut out a piece, this piece here. Let us cut out that piece. We are going to cut out this small piece here. You see this piece here? Let me try to highlight it. This piece we are going to cut from here like that, cut like that, cut like this part, cut like that, meaning that we are cutting part of the umbilical cord, we are cutting part of the placenta, uterine wall, and the other side of the mother. So that one is what now we are going to enlarge. We are going to enlarge it and make it very big so that we can study it very well. So it is this part that we are having here. It is our part that we have cut. Now we have this part here, which we have cut, which is the umbilical cord here. Okay? And then we have this part here of the placenta and the uterus, which is this one, the placenta, all of it, and then the uterus. So now it is enlarged. Let us study it, and we're starting from here. Here we are having our umbilical cord coming and connecting to the placenta. But what is in the umbilical cord? In the umbilical cord, we have what we call the umbilical arteries. These ones that you're seeing that are blue, okay? Those are fetus or the baby's blood vessels. It has got the arteries, the blue, and then the red one are the veins. Are you together? They are passing through the umbilical cord. Now, the umbilical cord, that part, all of it inside the umbilical cord, that part filled with the fluid is what we call the chorion. It is called the chorion. This part which you are seeing in yellow, all that space where the blood vessels of the fetus are passing, that space is called the chorion. And it's now here what we are referring to as the chorionic plate. If you look here very well, it is called the chorionic plate. Now, the chorion comes and forms what we call the chorion villi. Chorion villi are those spaces that you are seeing yellow, 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 all those gaps of yellow. That is the chorion villi. Chorion plate here comes and forms the chorion villi. So the blood vessels of the fetus, they pass through the chorion plate. They don't go out of that space, the chorion. So now when you move away from the chorion plate, you come to what we call intervillous space. Now the intervillous space is this one that you're seeing. This color is purple. Which color is this one? This color here, which is like red and so on. Now this space that you're seeing all here, it is filled with the mother's blood. But the mother's blood is not coming into contact with the fetus's blood. Why? Because the fetus's blood is in the chorion plate, and the chorion plate forms the chorion villi, where they are like sacs, where the fetus arteries and veins are passing. So there is no connection between the mother's blood, which is in the intervillous space, and the chorion. Are we together? So the chorion is protecting and preventing the mixture of the mother's blood in the intervillous space to connect with the fetus blood, which is in the chorionic villi. Are we there? So we say the intervillous space is filled with the maternal blood supply in the intervillous space. So all this intervillous space that you're seeing here, it is supplied with the mother's blood. And now this side, the mother's blood goes through the basal plate. The basal plate there is the mother or the uterine spiral arteries and the veins. And then on the outside, this is where we are having the uterine wall or the uterine lining, what we call the myometrium. So that is the structure of the or the placenta. That is the structure of the placenta. You should try to understand that the structure of the placenta, it has the chorionic plate where the blood vessels of the fetus pass, and there is the intervillous space where we have the circulation of the maternal blood, but they are not connecting because the colon forms villi which enters into the intervillous space, so that the blood vessels of the fetus enters into the space where they can get exchange nutrients with the mother's blood without coming into contact with the mother's blood. They are in a balloon structure villi called the chorionic villi, which does not allow entry of the mother's blood, which is in the intervillous space. And then on the other side, we have, of course, the uterine spiral arteries and veins that are taking blood into the mother and then removing blood or bringing blood into the intervillous space. And on the outside, we have our uterus, which makes the myometrium. So I hope now we have got a clear structure of the placenta. We can now move away from there. So we have seen, as we have explained here, that the placenta is a temporary organ that forms during pregnancy, and it is between the mother and the fetus. And we say that it is connected to the fetus by the umbilical cord. So we can continue. So here still, we can see that the fetus, the placenta, it contains the chorionic villi, which are surrounded by the maternal blood space, like the way we have explained it the other side. Okay, so here you can see very clearly this place here. This is the umbilical cord. These are the fetus blood vessels, and they are in the chorion plate. Chorion plate, that part, all of it. And the chorion plate forms the chorionic villi, which is in the intervillous space, which intervillous space is supplied by the mother's blood. And this one, we are saying the chorionic villi is surrounded by the maternal blood space. So the villi are here, chorionic villi, and those chorionic villi, inside the chorionic villi, we are having the blood vessels of the fetus, and they are surrounded by the mother's blood, but they don't come into contact with each other. That is our placenta and where it is located. Describe the functions of the placenta. So we want now to look at the functions of the placenta. So we look at all the functions of the placenta. This smaller part we have said here. What is its function? That part here, which we are referring to as the placenta. What is its function? What is the function of that space which connects between the mother and the baby? So we want to look at the functions. We shall start with exchange of nutrients and gases. So we are starting with the first function of the placenta. it is exchange of nutrients and gases. So here we see that oxygen diffuses from the mother's blood to the fetal blood. So when we come back here to our uterus, we can see this is the mother's blood vessels. And the mother's blood vessels are bringing blood, and blood is entering into the intervillous space. Now, when the blood of the mother enters into the intervillous space, oxygen diffuses out from the mother's blood in the intervillous space and diffuses into the chorionic villi. Now, that oxygen, when it enters into the chorionic villi, it will find there the fetal blood vessels. Then it will enter into the fetal blood vessels, and it will be taken through the umbilical cord taken to the fetus. Then another one, nutrients like glucose, amino acids, vitamins, and minerals are passed to the placenta. So it is still the same. The blood vessels of the mother will bring nutrients, glucose, amino acids, vitamins, minerals, and so on. Now, all those ones, when they are brought, they are going to be allowed to diffuse from the intervillous space to enter into the chorionic villi. And when they enter into the chorionic villi, inside there, they are going to find there the blood capillaries of the fetus. And when they enter inside, now they will be absorbed. The nutrients will be absorbed into the blood vessels of the fetus, and they will be carried through the blood capillaries and taken to the fetus. And when they are taken to the fetus through the umbilical cord, there is no mixing of the blood of the mother with the blood of the baby. Why? Because of the placenta. Placenta provides the provision of separating the maternal blood from the fetus blood by developing the chorionic villi, where nutrients are absorbed from the intervillous space into the fetus blood capillaries and veins. Then we have another function. Another function is the removal of waste products. Now, the waste product that we are talking about here is carbon dioxide and urea. These are coming from the fetus. They are passed into the mother's blood for excretion. So our fetus is also producing waste products like carbon dioxide, urea, and all of those one will pass through the umbilical cord. And when they pass through the umbilical cord, they will come and be released into the chorionic villi. And in the chorionic villi, they will diffuse out. From the chorionic villi, carbon dioxide will diffuse out and enters into the intervillous space. And also urea is also diffusing out. Urea is also diffusing out, entering into the intervillous space. And when it enters into the intervillous space, now they are going to be absorbed into the mother's blood. And when they are absorbed into the mother's blood, now they will be carried away. So another function of the placenta is to remove waste products. And which waste products are those ones? That is carbon dioxide and urea, which is coming from the fetus, passing through the umbilical cord, given to the placenta, and the placenta hands them over to the mother's blood. For what? For excretion. Another function is that one of protection. So the placenta filters out many harmful substances and prevents direct mixing of maternal and fetal blood. So that is another function of the placenta, like the we have seen here. We have the placenta here, and our placenta here is acting as a filter. When materials are coming from the mother, they are filtered through the intervillous space. Then they will be filtered to enter into the chorionic villi. And now in the chorionic villi, only useful materials will enter into the fetal blood vessels to be taken through the umbilical cord to the fetus. Meaning that any other materials which are harmful, which are in the blood of the mother, will be prevented to mix with the fetal blood because of the placenta. So that is the function, another function of the placenta. Then it also provides antibodies from the mother to the fetus. And this is what we call passive immunity. Because the baby is still in the mother's womb, uterus, it has not come into existence of pathogen outside the mother's body, but it will receive immunity from the mother's blood. So the antibodies will come from the mother's blood. They will diffuse into the intervillous space. They will diffuse into the villi, chorionic villi, and inside the chorionic villi, they will find blood vessels of the fetus, and they will enter into the blood vessels of the fetus, and they will be carried into the baby through the umbilical cord. So that is also another function of the placenta, protection. Protection, we have said the placenta filters any harmful substances, and it prevents direct mixing of the mother's blood and the baby's blood. And it also brings antibodies from the mother to the baby, and it gives passive immunity to the baby. Another function is the endocrine function. And what is this? The placenta produces hormones such as progesterone. And what is its purpose? It maintains pregnancy. So that small part which we are calling the placenta, this part here, the placenta here, it has also a function of producing a hormone called progesterone. And what is the function of progesterone? Progesterone is the one that maintains pregnancy. What do we mean by maintaining pregnancy? So that the mother does not have miscarriage, okay? Or producing a baby when the baby is premature. What maintains that one, that the baby grows up to the time of maturity, is the presence of progesterone hormone. And progesterone hormone is also produced by that organ which we have said, which is the placenta. That is another function of the placenta. Then also the placenta produces HCG during the early pregnancy. This is another hormone which is produced, and this hormone is the one which is going to tell the mother that the mother is now pregnant. It is an indicator that the mother has become pregnant, or that the woman or the lady or the girl has become pregnant. It is this hormone HCG that will inform us. Another function is the barrier function. We have the barrier function. And here, the placenta prevents large molecules and pathogens from crossing through some, though some can. For example, like alcohol can cross, drugs can cross, viruses can cross. Those ones can pass through. But at least it will try to prevent the large molecules and pathogen from crossing. So when the mother's blood is coming and bringing materials to be supplied to the fetal blood vessels, the placenta will act as a barrier to prevent those large particles, large materials, large molecules from entering into the fetus blood vessels. Meaning that the uterus or the placenta is acting as a filter, is acting as a barrier. Those large materials cannot be allowed to enter, to go into the baby's blood. Apart from some of them like alcohol, alcohol is very small. So that one can diffuse through from the mother's blood into the baby's blood. So the baby will start becoming drunk when he's in the mother's womb, because alcohol can pass from the mother's womb and enter into the baby. Drugs can also pass through the mother's blood and it enters into the baby's blood. So if the mother is overusing drugs, those drugs are also going to affect the baby. The viruses, they are also very small. They can pass through the mother's blood and diffuse through the barrier, which is the placenta, and they enter into the chorionic villi and find there the blood vessels of the fetus. They will enter into the blood vessels, the fetus carried to the fetus through via the umbilical cord, and they will enter into the baby, and the baby will be affected. So one of the functions of the placenta, it acts as the barrier, preventing large molecules and pathogens from crossing. Thank you very much for participating in topic 10.3, sexual reproduction in humans. We have been looking at learning outcome. Know the role of the placenta during the pregnancy. And during this learning outcome, the learning activity has been that learners are in pairs or in groups. The learners research and they describe verbally or in notes the role of the placenta. So thank you very much. Please visit me at Mugabi Joshua Biology on YouTube for more lessons. Please don't forget to like, to share, and subscribe.